Hello everyone and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to dive deep into the concept of active listening. In our daily lives, we all think we are listening, right? But there is actually a big difference between hearing and listening. Many people just hear. They recognize the words being spoken, but don't truly try to understand them. This is where active listening comes into play. So, what exactly is active listening and why is it so important? What is active listening? Active listening is the process of fully concentrating on, understanding, and responding to the person speaking. It means listening not just with your ears, but also with your mind and body language. In short, active listening is about understanding not just the words, but also the emotions and intentions behind them, showing the speaker that you genuinely care, ensuring the speaker feels heard and valued. Let's illustrate this with a real-life example. A real-life example. Passive listening versus active listening. Scenario. Your friend is telling you about a problem at work. Passive listening. While your friend is talking, you are looking at your phone, thinking about what to have for dinner, and occasionally saying, yes. The result? Your friend feels unheard and unimportant. Active listening. You focus entirely on your friend, maintain eye contact, nod occasionally, and truly try to understand what they're saying. At the end of the conversation, you say, "It sounds like that was a really tough situation for you. It must have been frustrating to have your manager act that way. How do you feel about it now?" That is active listening. Key components of active listening. Active listening consists of several key steps. Practicing these will enhance your communication skills and strengthen both your professional and personal relationships. Give your full attention. Maintain eye contact. Avoid distractions like your phone or computer. Use body language to show you are engaged, nodding, leaning forward, etc. Example. Imagine talking to someone who keeps checking their watch while you're speaking. Do you feel like they're really listening? Of course not. Don't interrupt. Listen to understand, not just to reply. Allow the speaker to finish their thoughts before responding. Example. When a friend is sharing a problem, resist the urge to immediately offer solutions. Sometimes, people just want to be heard, not fixed. Provide feedback. Paraphrase what you heard to confirm understanding. Ask clarifying questions. Give short but meaningful verbal responses. For example, "I see, that makes sense." Example, a colleague says they are struggling with a difficult customer. Instead of saying, "Just ignore them," an active listener might say, "So it sounds like there's a conflict between the customer's expectations and company policies. Have you talked to your manager about it?" This shows the speaker that you truly understand their situation. Show empathy. Try to understand the speaker's emotions. Use phrases like, "That must have been difficult," to acknowledge their feelings. Example, if a friend is upset about getting a bad grade, you could say, "That must be really disappointing for you. I totally understand." Ask open-ended questions. Encourage deeper conversations by asking questions that require more than just a yes or no answer. Use prompts like, "Can you tell me more about that?" Example, if a team member is struggling with a project, instead of saying, "Is it hard?" try asking, "What's the most challenging part of the project for you? What would make it easier?" This encourages deeper discussion and makes the speaker feel valued. Why is active listening important? It strengthens relationships. When people feel heard, they trust you more. It prevents misunderstandings. When you fully understand what is being said, you avoid unnecessary conflicts. It makes you a better leader. A great leader listens to their team's concerns and needs. It improves customer satisfaction. Active listening is a crucial skill in customer service and sales. Conclusion. Dear learners, active listening is one of the most essential communication skills. Instead of passively hearing, start truly listening. If you follow these simple steps in your daily life, you will immediately see a difference. Maintain eye contact. Don't interrupt. Provide feedback and show empathy. Use open-ended questions to keep the conversation going. Now it's your turn. The next time you have a conversation, practice active listening consciously and see how it changes the interaction. Now, let me ask you, in which area of your life do you think active listening will be the most useful? Share your thoughts. Empathetic listening techniques. In our daily lives, we often believe we are listening to others, but in reality, we may only be hearing their words without truly understanding their emotions or perspectives. Empathetic listening is about more than just hearing. It is about connecting with the speaker's emotions and intentions. By the end of this lesson, you will understand what empathetic listening is, learn different empathetic listening techniques, discover how to apply empathetic listening in daily life, workplace, and personal relationships. Let's get started. What is empathetic listening? Empathetic listening is a listening approach that ensures the speaker feels truly understood. Instead of focusing on how to respond, you focus on understanding what the other person is expressing, both verbally and emotionally. Example: imagine a colleague says, "I'm really struggling with this project. No matter how much I try, I feel like I won't be able to finish it on time." A non-empathetic response might be, "It's not that hard. You just need to be more organized." This response dismisses the person's emotions and focuses only on the solution. However, an empathetic listener would respond like this: "It sounds like this project is really challenging for you. I can see why you feel this way. Would you like to talk about which part is the most difficult?" By responding this way, you acknowledge the person's feelings and open a supportive conversation. Key techniques for empathetic listening. Let's dive into the essential techniques for empathetic listening. Give your full attention. Active listening. If you want to listen empathetically, you must give your full attention. You cannot listen effectively while looking at your phone or preparing your next response. What to do? Maintain eye contact. Show engagement with body language, for example, nodding occasionally. Avoid interrupting the speaker. Example: if a friend is venting about something and you keep checking your watch or looking away, they might feel ignored. However, if you maintain eye contact and occasionally respond with short affirmations like, "I understand," or "Please go on," they will feel heard and valued. Listen without judgment. One of the biggest barriers to empathetic listening is rushing to judgment or inserting your own opinions. What to do? Don't interrupt with your own ideas. Try to see the situation from the speaker's perspective. Avoid giving advice unless asked. Example: if someone says, "Talking to my manager is so hard. No matter what I do, I feel like they don't appreciate my efforts." A non-empathetic response would be, "You're overreacting. Maybe you're just being too sensitive?" Instead, an empathetic listener might respond, "That sounds really frustrating. What do you think makes it so difficult to communicate with your manager?" This approach acknowledges the person's emotions and encourages them to share more. Reflective listening. A powerful way to ensure that someone feels heard is reflecting back what they said in your own words. This confirms that you understand their feelings and message. What to do? Repeat the key message in your own words. Acknowledge the speaker's emotions. Example: if a coworker says, "Meetings are too long and sometimes we lose focus on the main topics," an empathetic listener could respond, "So you're saying you'd like meetings to be more efficient and focused, right?" This type of response allows the speaker to say, "Yes, exactly," which reinforces a sense of understanding. Ask open-ended questions. To help the other person express their thoughts fully, ask open-ended questions instead of yes/no questions. What to do? Can you tell me more about that? How does this situation make you feel? Would you like to share more details about what happened? Example: if an employee says, "I'm really stressed at work," instead of responding with, "Oh, that's too bad," you could ask, "What are the biggest stresses you're dealing with at work?" This encourages the speaker to open up and share their thoughts more freely. Use empathetic words and phrases. The words you choose can make a big difference in how the speaker feels. Instead of dismissive or neutral language, use expressions that convey empathy. Examples of empathetic phrases: "I understand what you're saying. That must be really tough for you. I can see why you feel that way." Example: if a friend says, "This week has been really exhausting. I'm so tired," instead of, "Yeah, life is busy for everyone," an empathetic response would be, "It sounds like this week has been overwhelming for you. Have you had a chance to rest?" This small change in response makes a big difference in showing support. Why is empathetic listening important? Empathetic listening is not just a communication skill, it's a tool for building stronger relationships. Key takeaways: give your full attention, listen without judgment, reflect the speaker's words, ask open-ended questions, use empathetic language. By applying these techniques, you can build deeper connections in both professional and personal interactions. Remember, people want to feel heard and understood. Misunderstandings in communication are among the most common problems we encounter in professional, social, and everyday life. A small misunderstanding can lead to big issues, whether at work, in relationships, or in daily interactions. So, how can we prevent misunderstandings? Let's explore the fundamentals of effective communication and how to avoid misinterpretations. Speak clearly and precisely. One of the main reasons for misunderstandings is using vague or ambiguous language. Example, incorrect. Let's do this later. The phrase later is too vague. Does it mean in 5 minutes? An hour? By the end of the day? Correct. Let's complete this by 2 p.m. Being clear and specific reduces the risk of misinterpretation. Tip, be specific. When you define when, how, and by whom a task should be completed, misunderstandings are minimized. Practice active listening. Many misunderstandings arise from incomplete or superficial listening. Listening is not just about hearing words, it is about understanding them. Example, imagine your manager gives you an important task during a meeting, but you are distracted by your phone and only half listen. The result? The task is either incomplete or done incorrectly. Solution, maintain eye contact to show engagement. Use nodding to acknowledge you're following along. Provide feedback by summarizing. So, you want me to complete the report by Monday, correct? By confirming what you've heard, you prevent misunderstandings before they happen. Use proper tone and body language. Sometimes, misunderstandings stem not from what we say, but how we say it. Example, suppose you tell a colleague, you need to rewrite this report. If you use a harsh tone, they may perceive it as criticism rather than constructive feedback. Solution, use a polite and friendly tone. Ensure your body language is not aggressive or indifferent. Reframe your sentence to make it more positive. This report looks good, but we can improve a few details. What do you think? This way, your message is received in a more constructive manner. Be careful with written communication. Emails, messages, and written notes lack tone and body language, making them more prone to misinterpretation. Example, imagine you send an email saying, "Okay, do it your way." Depending on the reader's perception, this might sound supportive or sarcastic. Solution, clarify your tone with emojis or polite phrasing. "Okay, do it your way." Use a friendly and professional tone. "That sounds like a great idea. Let's move forward with your approach." Consider cultural and personal differences. People interpret words and gestures differently based on their cultural background and personal experiences. Example, in Western cultures, a thumbs-up gesture is seen as a positive sign, but in some Middle Eastern countries, it can be offensive. Solution, learn about the cultural background of the person you're communicating with. Use neutral and universally understood language. When in doubt, ask for clarification rather than assuming. Check your own biases and assumptions. Sometimes, misunderstandings happen because we expect a certain meaning rather than objectively listening. Example, a colleague tells you, "You should be more careful next time." You might interpret this as criticism, but they may simply be offering helpful advice. Solution, question your assumptions. Why did they say this? Could it be meant positively? Ask for clarification. Could you explain what you mean by that? Provide and request feedback. One of the best ways to prevent misunderstandings is to actively seek and give feedback. Example, during a meeting, someone explains a complex idea, but you don't fully understand. Many people hesitate to ask questions, fearing they'll appear uninformed. Solution, ask questions. Could you clarify that a bit more? Rephrase what you heard. Just to make sure I understand correctly, are you saying that? By doing this, you confirm the message and eliminate any ambiguity. Final takeaways. To prevent misunderstandings, be clear and specific in your communication. Practice active listening and provide feedback. Use appropriate tone and body language. Be mindful of written communication. Consider cultural and personal differences. Check your biases before reacting. Clarify messages and ask for feedback. Remember, communication is a two-way process. Understanding others and making yourself understood is your responsibility. Feedback is a fundamental part of personal growth and professional success. However, For feedback to be truly effective, it must be constructive. So, how can we give and receive constructive feedback in a way that encourages improvement rather than discouragement? Let's explore this together. The importance of constructive feedback. Feedback is not just about criticism or praise, it is a tool for development and improvement. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Ken Blanchard. Effective feedback highlights a person's strengths while also identifying areas for growth. However, if delivered incorrectly, feedback can demotivate or put the recipient on the defensive. That's why how we say something is just as important as what we say when giving feedback. 5 key steps to giving constructive feedback. Be specific. Wrong. Your presentation was bad. Right. Your presentation had great content, but the slides contained too much text. If you use more visuals and fewer words, your presentation will be more effective. Feedback should be clear and specific, not vague or general. Balance positives with areas for improvement. Good feedback does not only point out mistakes, it also acknowledges strengths. Wrong. You speak too slowly. It's boring. Right. Your voice is clear and easy to understand, which is great. If you speak a little faster, your audience might stay more engaged. Use I statements. People tend to become defensive when they feel criticized. Instead of saying you, which can sound like blame, use I statements to express your perspective. Wrong. You are not a team player. Right. I would love to hear more of your ideas during team meetings because I believe your input would add great value. Be solution-oriented. Pointing out a problem is not enough. Offer a suggestion for improvement as well. Wrong. Your reports are incomplete. Right. Your reports have strong analysis, but adding more details in the conclusion section would make them even better. Choose the right time and place. The right timing and environment make a big difference when giving feedback. Private feedback should be discussed in one-on-one conversations. Public feedback should be positive or appreciative. Avoid giving feedback in high-stress moments. Wait for a more appropriate time. How to receive constructive feedback effectively. Giving feedback is an important skill, but receiving feedback well is just as crucial. Here's how you can do it. Listen without being defensive. When someone gives you feedback, don't immediately defend yourself. First, listen, process the information, and then respond. Wrong. But that's not true. Right. What specific areas do you think I should work on? Ask for clarification. If the feedback is unclear, ask for more details. Can you give me an example of what I could improve? Appreciate the feedback. Even if feedback is critical, view it as an opportunity for improvement rather than a personal attack. Thank you for your feedback. I'll work on that. Real-life scenarios. Scenario: giving feedback at work. Situation: a team member consistently submits projects at the last minute. Wrong approach: you always submit things late and it's frustrating. Right approach: it's important for all of us to meet deadlines. If you're facing any challenges, please let us know so we can help. Another scenario: receiving feedback from a manager. Situation: your manager says your reports lack detail. Wrong response: I'm already doing my best. Right response: which sections do you think need more detail? Do you have a suggested format? Conclusion and summary. When giving feedback, be clear, constructive, and solution-oriented. When receiving feedback, be open-minded and willing to learn. Adopting the right approach will help you grow both personally and professionally. Remember, giving and receiving constructive feedback is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. Essential skills that will enhance your learning process and help you retain information more effectively. Many people struggle with capturing important points during lectures or meetings. However, by learning the right techniques, you can process information better and strengthen your memory. Are you ready? Let's get started. Effective note-taking techniques. Taking notes is more than just writing down what you hear or read. Strategic and mindful note-taking helps you understand and retain information for the long term. Here are some of the most effective note-taking methods. Cornell Note-Taking Method. This method helps you organize your notes and makes reviewing easier. How to apply it. Divide your page into 3 sections. Left column, keywords and questions. Right column, detailed notes. Bottom section, summary. Example: if your instructor says, empathy is the foundation of effective communication, you can structure your notes as follows. Left column, what is empathy? Right column, empathy means understanding another person's emotions and responding accordingly. Bottom section, empathy is key to good communication. This method allows for quick reviews before exams or presentations. Mind mapping, perfect for visual learners. This technique organizes information hierarchically and shows relationships between concepts. How to apply it? Write the main topic in the center. Draw branches for key concepts. Add subtopics to expand on details. Example, if you're taking notes on effective communication, place it at the center and create branches like verbal communication, body language, empathy, listening techniques. Using colors and symbols enhances memory retention. Using abbreviations and symbols. Lectures and meetings move fast. Learning to take quick notes saves time and makes reviewing easier. Memory techniques. Taking good notes is important, but so is retaining the information. Here are some scientifically proven memory techniques. Memory palace technique, loci method. This technique helps you remember information by associating it with familiar locations. How to apply it? Visualize a familiar place, for example, your home. Assign different pieces of information to specific locations. Recall the information by mentally walking through the location. Example, if you need to remember key points for a presentation, imagine placing active listening in your living room, body language in your kitchen, and empathy in your bedroom. As you give your presentation, mentally walk through your house to recall each topic. Pomodoro technique. Our brains can only focus for a limited time. The Pomodoro method boosts productivity by breaking work into short intervals. How to apply it? Work for 25 minutes. Take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, take a 15 to 20-minute break. Example, if you're studying a lesson, read for 25 minutes, then take a short walk. When you return, your brain will absorb the material better. Chunking, breaking information into groups. The brain retains information better when it is grouped into smaller chunks. How to apply it? Think of memorizing a long phone number by dividing it into smaller groups of 3 to 4 digits. Example, to remember a process, communication process, sender, message, channel, receiver, feedback. Instead of memorizing it as a long phrase, break it down into SMCRF as an acronym. Storytelling method. Our brains remember information better when it is part of a logical story. Example, to remember active listening techniques, create a short story. Alice went to a job interview. To make a good first impression, she maintained eye contact. When the interviewer spoke, she avoided interrupting. She asked clarifying questions when needed. Finally, she summarized the conversation to confirm understanding. This story embeds key communication rules in a memorable way. Summary and conclusion. Let's recap what we've learned today. Effective note-taking methods. Cornell note-taking system. Mind mapping. Abbreviations and symbols. Memory techniques. Memory palace. Pomodoro technique. Chunking. Grouping information. Storytelling. By applying these techniques to your daily life, you will learn faster and retain information more effectively. Remember, learning is a process, and using these note-taking and memory techniques will set you up for success.